morning. Two of them particularly concerning River State, Port Harcourt in particular. So we'll get to those shortly. But we start off this morning looking at safety concerns around businesses. Now, last week, very sad to have to be welcomed back from my leave with that story about the fire at Mile 3. And I did say it was almost ominous, because the week before then, that's about a fortnight ago, I visited that market, and whilst I was there, I went round the entire Mile 3 looking for some items to purchase. And it kept ringing in my head. These buildings, these stores, apart from the fact they're too closely meshed, there were wires all over the place. And I was like, this cannot be safe. Why do we like to take these risks? Now, you heard in the news a few days ago that one person was feared dead after 9 persons were electrocuted by a high-tension wire near the Obirikwe flyover along the east-west road. Eyewitnesses told the correspondent that the men were trying to mount a billboard reportedly owned by a church when the incident happened. Let's take a listen to that report.
Think on touch that wire, so all of them think on shock, all them come for. I think on touch the wire with the all of them come for.
As they were raising this, the wire touched this.
I don't go lie here. The person will get this board. If police know about the person, they go arrest them. But you don't have any reason to put anything like this under high tension. Even person will come close the place. Me, I want big board. This is my job. I do it. You cannot put anything under high tension.
Cross, come join them. See where are they? Are they across? Me, I know the fish see dead body, so I know come closer.
And what is interesting, about 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, at the Okechukwu Junction off Ada George Road, so between location and the Pepper Road Junction, there's a place called Okechukwu Junction. I also, on my way back, saw people rushing a worker to the hospital. And there was a crowd gathering around there, and I asked, what's happening? They said, this man, they climb, they go do b-ball. Electricity shock. That's what was told. That was 2 months ago. So now we have a rep from the River State Signage and Advertisement Agency, RISA, in the person of Mr. Edenkwo Stanley, joining me this morning. Mr. Stanley, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Jude. First, my name is Okechukwu Stanley Edenkwo.
Okechukwu Stanley Edenkwo. Thank you for the reminder. So, Mr. Okechukwu Stanley is joining me this morning. We're going to talk about the safety concerns. And you heard from, the reports there, some of the passers-by, the eyewitnesses there say, look, this kind of thing shouldn't be possible. RISA should have done something. Well, RISA is here to speak about that, but we're not just talking about billboards. We're talking about safety concerns across all businesses in Port Harcourt. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Let's have a conversation this morning.
And now, hello Port Harcourt with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, so Mr. Okechukwu, let's start from the genesis. What are the modalities that need to be met before billboards, particularly big ones like that? We're not talking about, come to Okechukwu Barbing Salon that people put in front of their houses, or maybe their small shops, My One or anywhere. We're talking about big signages like this. What are the modalities that should be met before they go up?
First of all, let me express our sincere condolences as an agency to the families, friends, and the colleagues of the people that lost their lives and those that are also hospitalized. We really frown at such incidents, and we pray that God grants them the fortitude to bear this loss. But talking about the safety concerns, as an agency, we have an in-house safety department headed by a professional, and we have what we call our modalities. We have steps, we have things that you must meet up to certain conditions, even pre-qualifications, before they allow you to erect a billboard. So what really happened yesterday is something that is unfortunate. We are not aware of it, and it's really saddening that even in this jet age, where as an agency there's no month we don't carry out periodic removal of billboards, yet people still in their own wisdom try to see how they can go against the law and erect such signages.
Not for any reverse person who's listening, and hearing you say, look, yes, you have modalities, but having people erect these things seems very randomized and not particularly coordinated. Now, I don't know what route you took down here, but just a few meters from the entrance of this building, there is a structure, metal structure. It's already tilting, right? And what is interesting about that structure is it is just beside the power lines. Isn't that a no-no for any advertisement company to do?
Not just only an advertisement company, any right-thinking individual is a no for the person. Why I say so? If you have sanctity for human lives, there are certain things you don't do, irrespective of the fact that you're looking for money. You don't do that. So as an agency, we have steps, we have procedures. The first thing you do, you write to the acting managing director, see, this is what you want to do. He takes in the letter, he gives his consent. Okay, the inspection team go and inspect, and by the time they come back, they put up an inspection report. One thing we don't encourage, we don't allow people erect signages under high tension. We don't allow people erect signages that will even cause traffic blight. We don't allow people erect signages even on government setback. And the most important thing, one other thing we frown at is we must allow owners of properties and owners of billboard align, so that at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation.
That's interesting. So, signages are not meant to be, apart from the fact that you're not meant to be on electrical lines. There's meant to be an agreement with those who have the property. If it's on the private property, if it's a public property, the government should be aware of. And then, very importantly, it should not obstruct traffic. I'm interested in this bit because there have been some reports in the years past about some billboards, not just here in Port Harcourt but also in Lagos. There were a lot in Lagos where people say, look, this billboard, as lovely as it looks, is causing a serious traffic hindrance because maybe it blocks the line of sight of a driver from a particular place. Now, when these things happen, Mr. Okechukwu, what does research do?
First, before you even erect, there's something we call a photo montage. We'll encourage you, do a photo montage on a 3D. Send it to us. We look at it. First on the picture before even going to the location where you want to mount the billboard. So we take all these factors into consideration and we frown at anything that will cause traffic blight and even clutter. We don't allow people clutter the space with so many billboards, because once there's clutter, it also causes traffic blight and it defaces the scenic beauty of the town, and it's not part of our core mandate. Apart from the fact that we're also generating revenue for government, we also need to standardize the practice and restore the scenic beauty of the town.
I'm talking about restoring scenic beauty of the town. There are signages everywhere. People, obviously, in the act of trying to make money, economic activities, they need people to be drawn to their type of business, and whatnot. I don't want to believe, right? And this is me just playing devil's advocate for the sake of this conversation. I don't want to believe that whoever it was that erected or paid people to come and dig a hole and place that metal structure, that's the metal signboard there, I don't want to believe that they did not meet RISA. At the same time, I also cannot negate the fact that it is possible that they did not meet RISA. So that means there are some shady players in the game. The question for every right-thinking person is, what exactly is RISA in particular doing to stop people like that? Because if I own a business and I meet an ad agency and say, I want a big board, let them come and buy my boiler and fish, I'm posting big one, come to my place, do it well, and I give the person money, I may have given this ad agency the money unbeknownst or unknowingly that maybe this person is not going to do what is right with the government. The person is doing what is right by me, right, but not right by the government.
Well, let me correct one very negative and erroneous impression. We have no idea of what happened yesterday. We didn't give them approval. They didn't even apply. Talk less of, they did not apply. Nobody went there for inspection. Talk less of giving an approval. And that was why it was done at that odd hour. All of our installation, we allow people to do it during daytime. And there must be RISA representatives at every point where we are erecting any structure. Nobody erects structures without RISA being on ground, due to the fact that we've already given you the go ahead. We have our standard, we have our practices. So a staff must be on ground to ensure that you follow specifications and safety standards, which is the most important aspect.
So RISA has clear-cut safety standards that should be met before the structures come on. So that means, in this case, in this particular case now, RISA had no knowledge of this particular billboard. And that means if this is one, there could be several others that RISA was not in the know of their erection, but they are there. And I have to admit, I've seen in some parts of Port Harcourt where there's an X sign that, please remove, this is not appropriate. Now, for those people who do that, anybody listening to us, because very soon after the break, we'll open the phone lines and the public would like to engage with you. They want to find out, so what does RISA do to those people?
First, what we do, we have our third-party practitioners, which even if they install billboards without our consent, we issue them 7 days notice to remove. And once they are not done, we remove and confiscate. Then for those who are not registered as practitioners, we don't even give them the luxury of time. We do periodic removal of illegal structures within Port Harcourt and outskirts of the town. We've been doing it, and we've also been preaching against it at so many, but it's quite unfortunate that human beings, then we also meet some level of resistance from the communities when we go out for enforcement like this.
All right, so you made mention about periodic removal. I have to ask this question shortly. Yes, there are periodic removals you have to go around, but do you give notices to those people whose signages they're going to take down? You said if they are third-party operators, like that
third-party practitioners.
Yeah, they know. But like I said, and I gave the example of myself. If I want to have my bole business, up, and I've paid money to somebody who says, hey, look, I can help you, erect a great billboard so people can come and buy your ball and fish. Now I've paid the money. In all honesty, I've done the right thing. They've even given me a receipt. But do you warn those people like me who didn't know whether or not I'm a third-party practitioner? What if I don't know? What if I wake up one morning and my wonderful billboard showing ball and fish has been turned down? I'll feel incensed. These are the kind of things that people go, the government did not try. Now, if you want to join the conversation, please send us a message to WhatsApp 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. We have a rep from RISA today, and we'll be handling your questions shortly. safety around workplaces. Of interesting focus this morning is RISA. Yes, talking about issues of signages. Now, like I made mention earlier, it's very sad to get to hear stories like this, that in a bit to promote your business, people lose their lives. And in this case, someone got electrocuted. Some people rather got electrocuted, and the report has that one person is feared dead. Now, it's not the first time. I was an eyewitness a few months ago to another one at Okechukwu Junction at the George Road, where the individual was trying to place the signboard, trying to put the flex banner. I think that's what they call it, right? And then some weird thing happened, and his device, his welding tool, touched the fence. Fence, unknown to him, or maybe he didn't take notes or whatever, was electrocuted. But that was not the only thing that was wrong with that scenario. Now, the fence itself of that building was underneath the high tension cable, and then the signboard itself was beside it. So it was like a double whammy for that fellow who went there to do his job. And he did this job in broad daylight, not at 6 p.m. or 5:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm talking about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I saw him being rushed to the hospital. Now, RISA, we have a rep from RISA telling us, look, there are certain things that we don't do, that we don't allow people do, and some people are going around cutting corners to make their businesses visible. It's wrong. And so there are modalities. Now, let's talk a little bit about where they should go. He's going to tell us what exactly are the process, where you should go if you want payment to be done, what steps. And then we also know, and I have to say this very honestly, that some of you love to cut corners. Some of you would not abide by the rules and regulations, and I'm very sure my guest Okechukwu Stanley is going to tell us what some of you do.
Conversations. Hello, Port Harcourt. 92.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Mr. Okechukwu, once again, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, people want their signs, their businesses shown. Now, let's talk a little bit about this issue of those who have paid, who honestly, like I said, they paid, they were given some receipts, they've put the sign, and then, RISA comes, puts the red paint on, oh, this is illegal, and sometimes, in some cases, they remove them. Now, you say if the person is not registered, for example, they just take them out. If the person is registered, they probably give some days notice.
Yeah, 7 days notice.
Seven days
to relocate structure.
To relocate the structure.
Or remove.
Okay, or remove. Interesting. Okay, remove. All right, but for people like me and the listener out there, where do you go to pay? Some people don't know. Some people just says, hey, we are from RISA. What's this? Tell the general public proper offices and channels, please.
Yeah, as an agency, our corporate office is located at number 3B Lodoma Drive, GRA, just off Sani Abacha Road, and it's behind the popular restaurant in the red around that GRA axis, phase 3. So, and our office is quite accessible. If you're coming from Ajib Junction, you're coming from Water Lines, wherever you're coming from, you can always access the office easily and real time. Then secondly, we also run a no cash policy. We have a designated bank account with one of the new generation banks, and
no cash policy. So,
no cash policy.
Mr. You are telling the Port Harcourt public this morning that they shouldn't give cash to anybody who comes to meet them in their businesses.
We run a no cash policy. Once it comes to stuff like this, we run a no cash policy, and as an agency, we have a designated bank account. First, all you need to do is to apply. As you apply, you come to the office. We look at what you want to do. They go for inspection, and at the end of the day, if you know the human nature, they might tell you they want to do something that is 4x4. You give them approval, you give them a receipt for that, and at the time they are trying to erect, they might do something bigger than that. So that's why from time to time we go on periodic monitoring. Apart from monitoring, we also do enforcement. In fact, it's in the course of monitoring we discover structures that will definitely go down.
All right, so some people cut corners. They tell you they want to pay for A, then when you go out on the field to inspect, you see B and C, right? That's what you're. Now, I don't doubt you. Like I said, I know some people would like to cut corners. Some people like to do things that are shady and things like that. Now, when that is done, is it enough to just dismantle or remove those structures? Isn't there something research can do, considered by law, that in terms of pursuing, the sanctity of the scenic beauty of the place?
The law also permits us to prosecute. Apart from the fact that we regulate, we take that, we also prosecute offenders when the need arises.
Now, there's a very popular case that was reported, that was in the news a few weeks ago. The man spent a huge amount of money, to have that billboard erected, and then woke up one morning and then boom, RISA came, put it down. And his argument was, they did not tell me. I paid money to this person. They did the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing, and RISA didn't even call me and say, bros, let's remove this. And they said they came out and they destroyed that billboard. Was that the proper channel to the proper way? He claimed that it was destroyed. Now, what's RISA meant to do? Is it just to remove, or do they remove and destroy the boards?
We don't remove and destroy. Rather, we remove and put it in a proper shape that it will be easier for us to convey to our dump site. So we don't destroy people's property. What we do, we confiscate.
Okay, we confiscate. That's what Mr. Okechukwu is telling us this morning. So let's get to engage you this morning. Some of you are sending your messages already. All right. We'd like to get to hear from you concerning our conversation this morning. It's about security at businesses. It's interesting that we're now looking at signages, and RISA, sent someone down here so they can explain the way that. But it's not just RISA, like I said. It's security. It's safety rather. In all businesses. Now it's signboards. Now I also know that another cause for concern are those in the mechanic spaces, what we call mechanic villages or your mechanic workshop. Does your mechanic actually abide by safety practices? Let's be very honest. Some of you take your cars to mechanic shops, that are not tarred. They're just normal mechanic places, with zinc covering and all of that. Many of those places don't have fire extinguishers. Many of them, I've seen. In fact, when I was growing up, I got to see, what do you call them? The painters, the welders, right? Beside another store. And whilst his apprentice was trying to, do something, fire engulfed the place. And from that day, that particular painter decided to have buckets of sand in and around his shop. That became his fire preventing tool. But this should be practices and protocols for places like this. For mechanics, yes, everybody's talking about shops these days. But what about supermarkets? What about, hospitals? What about media houses like where we are right now? Are you meeting the safety practices and that should be enforced? Who's meant to enforce them? In this case, RISA is putting their hands up and say, hey, look, we did not sanction that. And there are several places that they are probably not sanctioned. And if you have those places, you will be doing the state a favor by calling them out this morning. Always do well. Turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comment. Do not make unsubstantiated and unverified claims. And very importantly, do not make inciting statements.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info.
081-923-0002, 081-793-0007. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and X, also known as Twitter. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and the app formerly known as Twitter, now called X. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on these platforms. WhatsApp is 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. Now this is live, by the way, so you can watch us live on Facebook and also on Twitter. And I'm going to come to my guest this morning, Mr. Okechukwu Stanley Edenkwo. Mr. Okechukwu, Marcus on Facebook says mine was destroyed, totally destroyed without notice or warning.
I think I'm aware of that incident. Whilst I'm aware, it wasn't destroyed. They just removed it, cut it into about 3 places where it could be easier for them to convey to the dump site. As the first party practitioner, there are certain size of boards you're not even permitted to own.
Okay.
If you own a 10 by 20 board, you're not a practitioner. You are just a business owner. So you can't even have a board that is bigger. If everybody that has business within that premises puts up
a big signage,
what happens? The place becomes cluttered. So apart from the fact that we generate revenue, we also try as much as we can to standardize the practice and restore the scenic beauty of the town.
But let's talk about this distraction thing. Now, in your words, it was cut into pieces to be taken. Now, let's assume, right, that somebody's signage, right, did not meet the specification he or she paid for, the business paid for, or maybe it was even illegally erected, right? Now, if RISA comes and then says, look, we have to remove the signage, right? And maybe it's too big for the truck or whatever, the vehicle that is taken in. Now, if the person says, okay, look, I agree I've done something wrong, can I not pay a fine? Or you are going to confiscate, can I come to where you're confiscated so I can retrieve the material? Because don't forget, the metals are used for these things. These things cost money.
Also going to that, we also have a particular amount you pay to retrieve your structure.
Okay. Is it a fixed amount or is it depending on the size?
Depending on the size and the nature of practice. For first party and third party practitioners, there are fixed amount that you pay into the designated government account, and once that is done, you follow the procedure. Your structure will be released to you real time,
and the person can then relocate the structure.
Of course.
Okay. All right. Once again, 4 lines 01792300002, 01792300003. All right. 01792300002, 01792300003. Mr. Chu, good morning. Sunday here. There is an advertisement of an event at the Marine Base Junction. Coming out of Marine Base, the billboard is completely blocking the Marine Base. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Thank you very much for that piece of information. I will also encourage members of the public to keep giving us vital information like this, and we'll swing into real time immediately. Thank you. I think I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So moving on now, more messages. Now, if the foundation is destroyed or fault is a waste of resources, builders building, indiscriminate signage is a function of failure of implementing an urban master plan. If state government agencies obey urban infrastructural master plan of any city, all these concerns will be considered. This is just one of several issues, like building on waterways, building on green areas and structures under high tension and power line. May God help us. That's from Air Engineer C.K. Oguze in Imo State. 92.3, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, Mr. Zion, good morning to you.
Good morning. Go on, Mr. Zion.
There's a lacuna in RISA, and that is what gave birth to this infiltration of illegal materials. I will not cite the case that just happened because that one alone is so dumb. So dumb. But let's look at RISA and their operations in Port Harcourt. I challenge the man in the studio there. Sir, when was the last time you came for sensitization on how and the processes people can offer your projects? Number 2, sir, when last did you have a town hall meeting? Since signboard and banners are so common, prevalent here in Port Harcourt, when have you had a town hall meeting from Oguna Valley, Garrison, Rumala, and so on? If you know you want to do this, so then we are coming for sensitization. Have you done that? Number 3, sir, how much does it cost for a meter square banner to be seen in Port Harcourt? Number 4 question, sir, as your office is there, are there racketeers or they are not? Number 5, how many days will it take an individual banner to be approved?
Okay. All right, so 5 questions. I don't know if you got all of that, but some of them are genuine questions. But let's start with the first one. How often does RISA go about sensitizing the public? And that, I have to say, is a very genuine question. You have to agree, Mr. Okechukwu.
Yeah, we carry out sensitization programs periodically. We have our tools on social medias, and you can always reach us. Then we also have meetings with various stakeholders like the religious bodies, business owners, pillars, school owners, various associations. They come to us for meetings with their ESCO. We must not convey a large town hall meeting to pass the message, but periodically people come for sensitization, they come for courtesy call. We reach out to them, and even in the course of our day-to-day activities, we still do that one-on-one sensitization to business owners. We talk with them, and we've not had issues apart from this very one. Then for him to say, is there racketeering?
I think that's a very important question, because, like we've heard before, and I shared stories with you, this issue of racketeering, how do individuals know who is the genuine person?
That's why we always encourage people, whatever you want to do, come to our office for clarification, inquiry. We have a very wonderful client services, and my managing director, in the person of Chief Honorable Anthony Okia Esquire, has the human face, and whatever he does it in line with RISA procedures, and also with the fear of God, and above all, he also has that human sympathy. So for me, our office is open. If there's anything about racketeering, not that I don't know, and if he has any information after now, he should get back to me, so that we also, because this whole thing, we can't do it alone. We also need the public participation. That's the only way we'll get feedback, and we'll get feedback, we react.
Okay, all right. Now, please, I want to ask the RISA official there in the studio, why are their boys going about harassing POS operatives, asking them to pay 7,000 naira for operation receipt, or they would seize their POS terminals? Secondly, is POS part of the job of RISA? Even those who don't have a signboard of POS outside their shops, they still force them to make payment. Good question.
Now, talking about our POS, what we do is the signage of the POS operator and not the POS machine. You pay for your signage, because if you look at it, we have so many banners, but littered all over the town. And once you do things like this in Port Harcourt, people always cry. But we have a model in Lagos where most of the things they do in Lagos, we try as much as we can to replicate it here. And they will pay it wholeheartedly in Lagos, but by the time they come to River State, we say pay to River State, they start crying. I wonder where this public outright comes from. But in all, we don't enforce any POS that doesn't have a signage. We don't enforce any POS that is used for private business.
Okay.
You must have a signage, then you're using it for POS business. But if you're using it just for your day-to-day sales, nobody harasses you. So even if they come, we always encourage people, come to the office. By the time you come to the office, look at your claims and their claim on it. We've released so many POS signals like that once we get to the root of the matter.
Yeah, but this person's question is, this Stephen, by the way, says, should they even have lots of signages? POS. Would you ask them to pay his signage fee?
No, you don't ask to pay, because one, you don't have a signage. What the law permits us is we're charging for signage and advertisement. So long as you're not advertising, you don't have a signage. RISA doesn't have any business with you. And if they come to you like that, no problem. Just let them give you a note. Come to the office and we'll look at it based on its merit, and matters are resolved real time.
Mr. Okechukwu, you and I won't say you and I. I'm just saying, but if we follow this complaint, now the person is saying sometimes the boys harass them. Now you are speaking to us all gentlemanly, like all telling us, there are protocols, and I believe that there are protocols, there are steps, there are modalities that RISA takes and does enforce within the operations of their statutes. But these boys on the streets, that's what these are the people. What you're reading now is comments from the people on the street that look, sometimes some of these RISA boys harass them. They harass them, and the question is, how do you checkmate that? You are telling them, if they come and meet you, okay, they should give you a note. That sounds all nice and gentlemanly. But when they say, oh, if you don't have, seize your, that's a breeding ground for physical altercations.
First, we always tell people, do not confront. Do not even engage. What you do, you incident.
Okay.
That's one. But secondly, we also encourage members of the public, once issues like this, come to our office and report to us. We deal with issues. Jesus Christ had only 12 disciples. He had all manner of people. If we have that large crowd, and due to human nature, some people tend to misbehave, or they allow their emotions get a better part of their passion. Report such issues to us. We know how to handle such problem. If I tell you here that all is well, all is rosy, then I'm being economical with the truth. But once it comes up like that, report to us. We'll deal with it real time.
Okay, all right. I'm enjoying this talk on signages. Never knew that there was a body in charge. It says the questions asked by the caller are very valid and they must be addressed. I just saw a signage under electricity line at Eneka used by a supermarket. Ekpo Basi is reporting. All right. Good morning, Jude. I have a complaint that this somebody at the roundabout, it's a popular electronics store just after the roundabout. At night, the lights that come from the store, especially when the street lights are off, any driver coming from Motorcourt facing Slaughter at that time can't see properly. Well, 50% of the accidents at that roundabout is because of that light. But that's not a signage issue now, is it?
It's not a signage issue.
So it's something that the local government will have to address.
And urban development, Ministry of Urban Development and Physical Planning.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. All right. This one says, Risa should understand that SMEs are barely surviving in Rivers State. How can you pay tax? How can you tax a POS vendor to pay 10,000 naira when the person barely accrues 3,000 in a day? What right does Risa officials have to seize POS machines? Furthermore, Risa seems political, and their field marshals are not professionals. They should allow SME owners to breathe. Charles Cottrell with that comment. Like I said, Mr. Okechukwu, you're going to be hearing live from the streets. People are going to be responding to this. We don't have a lot of time on the program right now, but I'll take one more call and we'll call it a wrap. 92.3, good morning, please.
Hello, Jude, good morning.
Good morning, please.
Yeah, Honorable Da from Nkoro.
Go on, please.
First of all, I want to thank our guest in the studio. I want to please tell him to use his boss to run every year. My brother, you see how people are putting their billboard. Anyone under high tension, please cut it down. No matter the person that has it, even though it's the governor of Rivers State, cut it.
Now, once again, is there a website, social media handle for Risa?
Then our website.
All right, and it's just Risa?
Just www. Our website is www.risa.gov.ng.
Okay. All right. So you have those details. Please make a great use of them. All right. We would like to have things not repeat the same like they have been right now. Okay. All right. So okay. No, the person is saying, Jude, the lights the lights are from their signages.
Lights from signage. Although we have
those signages that they light up at night. So you can see the brands.
We have some LED billboards, those electronic billboards. So the lights, some of them are quite bright, but I don't think and I don't believe that it causes such this thing.
Well, he's saying that from where he's standing that it causes a problem. So maybe something that you can look into. Talking about at Motorcourt area. All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. My guest this morning, very magnanimous with the information. Okechukwu, Stanley, Edenkwo. Once again, please remember they operate a no cash
policy.
Okay, all right, Mr. Stanley. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Jude. It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. 92.3, we're back after the break.